Okay, you guys, Folkaroonies, fabulous people. We're gonna get into the journey that is what? Factoring, okay? And here's the thing, folks. I really do believe it depends on how the teacher teaches factoring that will either make or break you or, make or break your success. Because I believe, as I've done before, teaching things as easily and directly as possible. Okay. And so, one thing that I hope that you will walk away with knowing, remembering, keeping in the back of your mind is that factoring is the reverse, the opposite, the backwards of what? Multiplying. That's all it is. Okay. And we're gonna start factoring now, and I'm gonna try to show you that every step of the way that factoring is not this mysterious voodoo thing out there that is like complicated. Yes, it has, some of them have steps, okay, and we got to learn the steps and how to do it, but we're basically doing the rewind, okay, of multiplication. Okay, so for example, this right here, x squared plus 8x plus 15, I want you to think of that as the what? The answer. Okay, the after, the answer. Two things were multiplied together, and this is what you got. This is what you got after what was been multiplied. This is the answer. This is what you got. And now we're going to factor it and figure out what was multiplied together originally to give us this answer. So I just want you to know that factoring is the opposite of multiplying. And so we just want to break it down easily as possible. But I want you to look at this list, okay? In our factoring on the Algebra EOC, we need to know how to factor 6 different ways, okay? So, direct your attention here, okay? We need to know how to factor when our A value, here's our A, B, and C, okay? So here's our A value. All right, so we need to know how to factor when our A value is equal to 1, when our A value is greater than 1, okay? We need to know how to factor by grouping, factoring completely, which means we have to pull out, I'm going to add in here, just first, pulling out a GCF and then factoring from there. Factoring the difference of 2 perfect squares and then completing the square. We need to know how to recognize that. So there are 6 ways of factoring that we need to learn, okay? So we're going to do the first one in this video when the A value is equal to 1. And what I have created that has been so helpful is what I call, okay, a great tool. It's called the Magic X, okay? So hopefully by this point you drew the X in your notes, okay? You drew these 4 blank spaces, okay? And you have your C term, your B term. Up here we multiply, down here we add. All of this is going to make complete sense to you in a minute, okay? But all you need to know is that above your polynomial here, I want you to write A, B, and C, okay? This is your A term, your B term, and your C term, okay? Okay, we can just write it AX squared plus BX plus C, okay? Why is that important? Okay, that's our quadratic, all right? The reason why that's important is because we need to know what is the A, B, and C term in order to factor and in order to use our Magic X. Okay, so basically we're asking ourselves what times what gave us this answer, okay? And we're going to wind up with two binomials, okay? And we learned in our previous lesson what a binomial was, okay? They are two terms connected by an addition or subtraction operation, okay? So here's what you need to know. Factoring when the a value is equal to 1 is super easy. Why? Because we need to ask ourselves, what times what gives us x squared? Okay, and that would be x times x, right? Because we know that even though it's not there, there's a little 1 there, and 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, so this a value is equal to what? 1. So I'm just going to go ahead and erase that a and put 1, since that's what this video is about, when the a value is equal to 1. Okay, and then I'll erase it and when we do the next. All right, so we've already filled in, this is going to be our answer here, folks, okay? This binomial is going to be, these two binomials multiplied together. This is going to be our factored form, because that's what the question is asking you. What is the factored form of this answer? What times what gave you that x squared plus 8x plus 15, okay? So what times what gives us this? So these first two lines here in the binomials, okay, these two terms give us your a term. So what times what gives us x squared? X times x. Now we have to ask ourselves, what goes here and here? Okay, this is where the magic x comes in, okay? So in the magic x, we have to put our c term up top and our b term down at the bottom. So what is our b term here? Our b term is 8. So let's put our 8 down here. Okay? And our c term is 15. So let's put the 15 here. So now I'd like to draw your attention to these two spaces here. Whatever numbers we put here, okay, this is what's going to go in our spaces right here. Okay? So this is what you need to ask yourself. It's like a puzzle, okay? You have to ask yourself, what times what gives you 15? And it also has to meet the requirement of what plus what, when added together, what two numbers when added together give you 8? So let me say that again. What two numbers when multiplied together give you a positive 15? And what two numbers when added together gives you a positive 8? Well, that's going to be a positive 3 and a positive 5. And let's just test it, okay? So is 3 times 5 a positive 15? Yes. Is positive 3 and a positive 5 give us a positive 8? Yes. So guess what? These two numbers are going to go here and here. So we have a positive 3 and a positive 5. And that is your answer. This is your factored form. You just factored this polynomial here, this quadratic. You just factored it, okay? And this is the factored form of that, okay? So once again, I need to say again that factoring is the opposite of multiplication. When you factor something, your answer will show what was multiplied together to give you the original, okay? So if you're not sure if you factored it properly, all you need to do is do the distributive property FOIL, take this term and multiply it to here. Okay, so x times x gives you what? X squared. X times 5 is a positive 5x. Take the second term, multiply it to these two terms. 3 times x is a positive 3x. 3 times 5 is a positive 15. Combine like terms in the middle. X squared, 5 plus 3 is a positive 8x. Bring down your positive 15. And there you go. We wound up right here where we started. Okay? So I'm just showing you that factoring, okay, is the opposite of multiplying. They gave you the answer. They wanted the original factored form. What was this before the multiplication happened? And there it is. That's the best way that I can explain it. I'm going to give you a practice example. So let me do that now. Okay, keeping our Magic X intact. Okay, and we will go over it live. So here we go. Unfreeze, and here you are. Okay, let's move this down a little bit. So there's our practice example. Okay, so what is the factored form of this? So here's our ax squared plus bx plus c, okay? So we keep in mind, this is our a term, this is our b term, this is our c term, so we know how to fill in the magic x, okay? So you've already tried that yourself, so now we're going to go over it together. So we're going to set ourselves up for success and put x and x, because x times x gives us x squared, okay? And now we have our two empties here. So now we need to ask ourselves, we need to put the c term here in the magic x. The c term is a negative 15. Let's do that now. And our b term is a positive 2. So we need to ask ourselves, what two numbers, when multiplied together, gives us a negative 15, okay? And when added together, gives you a positive 2. Well, I'm going to say that that's a negative 3 and a positive 5, right? Let's check it out. So is a negative 3 times 5 a negative 15? Yes. Is a negative 3 and a positive 5, when you add those together, does that give you a positive 2? Yes. So these are the two terms that go here. So we have a negative 3 and a positive 5, and that is the factored form. That is the answer. That is the factored form of that trinomial. Now, here's what you need to know, okay? It doesn't matter if you put the positive 5 here and the negative 3 here, or the negative 3 and the positive 5. Either way, it's the correct answer. Doesn't matter, okay? Just as long as you chose the right numbers and it works with the magic x. And that's how you factor when the a value is equal to 1. Now, in the next video, we're going to do when the a value is greater than 1, which has more steps, but we still use the magic x to get there, okay? So let's go on to when the a value is greater than 1.